Yeah.
Hey guys, today we're going to install this awesome KTM graphics kit. So when you get it in the mail, a lot of you guys have already ordered these, thank you. Come in this envelope and in a sleeve with all of your pieces. Let's get these guys out of here. All your pieces are a little bit mixed together in the kits. It's pretty obvious which pieces end up going where though. So we got all our pieces laid out. This one is a pattern. This one's actually really cool. Kind of looks like Damascus steel a little bit. So when you get the patterns, they come already a little bit more laid out because we want the direction to be the same. If you buy a solid color, they might be a little mixed up. So it's a good idea to make sure you figure out which pieces go where before you start. First thing we're going to do is make sure the bike is clean and there's not any wax on there. So we're going to use some IPA to get this cleaned off. We use a 97% IPA for a lot of our epoxy projects in the shop, but any sort of good cleaner or something that will just remove a little bit of potential wax or cleaners that are already on here. You don't want those to affect the bond on your stickers. This is air release vinyl that is designed for using on car wraps and things. So this is not something that you should have any longevity issues with. All right, so now that we're clean, we're going to just pick whichever piece you want. If you want, we're just gonna start with probably the easiest one in this kit, this little triangle here. Sometimes it's easier to cut your pieces all the way out. I'm not gonna do that because I've installed probably 100 of these at this point. If you guys have seen all the pictures on the website with all the different colors, that's not AI. We installed all of those graphics in one night just to get pictures of what they look like. And I have a feeling now that we have the gray bike back, we're gonna be doing the same on this. So on this one, I just lined up my bottom corners and then it lay in exactly where you need it. This is probably one of the more challenging pieces in the whole kit just because it's so long and this piece of the M wraps all the way under. But that's why this is cut into two pieces here. On this piece, and on almost all the pieces, I like to start at either the open end or on like a circle cutout. And then if you get this lined up correctly, all of this should fall into place where you need it to. This vinyl is sticky, so it grabs, but it is a little forgiving. So I try not to let too much of it grab when I'm getting it started. But we're just gonna try to get our open ends and our hole lined up where we need to. This takes a little bit of work, but once you get it right, the rest of it falls into place exactly where you need it. See it stick together, but it comes back apart. So then you just can work it with your fingers. It'll release all the air out from underneath it. I like to work this top panel over, and then this guy just folds over. When you get down to this corner here, I like to try to get this stretched. This is probably the place on this kit you stretch the most. You want to get this corner stretched up around there. And then you kind of just work this down your factory line, and the rest of it, you just stretch up into the top of the winglet. Or the intake rather. And then really you could leave it like that if you wanted to, but we do have this second piece. Fills in that top of the triangle, and then it just overlaps over your original sticker. You probably have to be laying down on the ground to actually see that, but it's in the kit if you'd like it. All right, our next piece is going to be the top of this T. You can see it's got this little triangle here. This one I like to line up starting at this point and getting this top line even. And then this part doesn't matter because it will fall where you need it to. And then just fold that corner down. The next one, we're going to do the top of this T here. We're going to start on this outside. I guess that would be the inside, open side of this T. These little ones all go on them pretty easily. And then the last one we got is this K here. I'm going to start with this one with getting this front blinker area where we've got the block off placed, and then work my way to the inside. For anybody that has any experience with vinyl, you can install these wet, where you spray down the whole area that you're doing so you can slide it around and use a squeegee. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you could look up a video on installing graphics that way. Might be something you're interested in, but I don't mind doing it this way. Straight across the bottom. I got a little bit off on that, but with this vinyl, I can just peel it back a little bit and get it lined up where I want it to. There we go. And that's one side installed. Same thing as the other side, get it wiped down. This bike needed to be wiped down anyways. Live it on the racetrack. So something with these pieces, I've noticed just because I've done it a few times, this first piece on the K is very similar shaped. It does only fit, you can see this way is way off. It does only fit one way. So I would say just kind of look at that piece before you stick it, make sure. This piece also will cover up this entire opening. So it's almost best to just start there so you can get your edge lined up. There we go. There's some pieces that sometimes a little bit of stretching might help you out, but you should not need to specifically add any heat unless your piece is so far off. But honestly, I think if you added heat, you're going to end up stretching your piece so far that's definitely not going to fit. And let us know if you have any issues. Same thing on this one, we're going to get our hole lined up and then our top opening. On the pieces like this one where you get a little small piece, it's easy to get it lined up here, and then you've got a little bit of room to almost persuade the material one direction if you need to change direction a little bit based on how you lined it up. Come across the top of our T. And then this piece folds all the way down and also underneath the wing. Keep saying wing, it's an intake. You know what they are. And like on the other side, once you get this rolled up here from the bottom up, you just can roll this and tuck this right up into that little stop. All right, 2 more pieces left. We've got our M and the top of our T. When you're pulling these off, also be careful not to just rip this. It's very easy when you get into these tight corners to tear it a little bit. It'll still install just fine if you do, but just as a word of caution. Let's get around our blinker block off. which you can buy on jbells.com. If you don't already have it, then you should. Press this piece on, it'll kind of fall over to the end. Last piece is this guy here. Well, the kit's installed, and this bike has a lot more work to get done to it. So we're gonna get going on those things. If you guys are wondering, as of the filming, the belly pan and the tails are gonna be available very soon. More than likely, if you're watching this in a month or more, they're already available on the website. The blinker block-off kits, the mirror block-offs, the headlight, the whole track kit is available on jbells.com. If you have any questions, if there are any problems, any concerns with our kit or any of our parts at any point, reach out to us on all social medias and we will do what we can to handle it expeditiously. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.